Welcome back. Well, before the break, I mentioned that we were going to talk about basis. So some people are saying maybe we could see basis fall out at the end of summer, possibly fall once we have this big crop come in and we're needing to get rid of the crop that we have in storage because there is still a lot of that crop out there. Do you think that could happen, and how could new crop play a part in that?
Well, I think we have to understand there's a lot of farmer ownership still of corn, no doubt about it. That's been talked about a fair amount. If guys are looking towards the new crop, as you mentioned, for some sort of a rally, we have to understand that if we get a rally, having all that old crop out there, I mean, it could have some huge basis implications, because if everybody's trying to get out the door at the same time, the basis that we've seen that's been pretty strong for a big crop is probably going to go the other way.
And when could that happen?
Well, I think as soon as we start seeing any sort of rally, it could happen. But if we don't see the rally, we're going to run out of calendar. At some point, we're going to have to move this crop because we've got a new crop coming on.
So how do we take advantage of basis now?
Well, I mean, one thing a person can do is write a basis contract, or they can simply sell. And then if they want to have ownership, I would be more of a fan of ownership of the new crop instead of the old.
Tommy, another question we had on Twitter, another big corn crop out there, how storage may or may not impact movement of this crop. What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, you know, storage is interesting because last year, about this time last year, as we started to realize a huge corn crop was coming, everyone thought the basis would really get bad. You got to lock in that basis, lock in that basis. And then I'll never forget, I don't remember what day we traded down in October, but I think it was only 1 or 2 days of the month of October did the price make, you know, that the market had a down day. So everyone was really in a hurry to get that basis locked in. Something's changed in agriculture with the on-farm storage. I don't think us or the USDA or anyone really has a good grip on just how much farmer storage and how much the farmer is in control of his or her grain. That doesn't mean the flat price won't stay low. You can be totally in control of your grain and it can stay $3.70 for 2 years. But in between that $3.70, there might be a chance to where grain's 30 under the board, and there might be a chance where we're 30 over. But in general, the price of corn's $3.70.
Speaking of storage, kind of switching gears a little bit, but this week China announced they were going to release some of their cotton out of the reserves. I think it's like 40% of the cotton is in China right now. And that really put some pressure on the markets this week. So you looked at some cotton charts, Tommy. What is it telling you?
Well, it felt like we were trending up. It felt like all the commodity markets were starting to trend up a little bit, going from the bottom left to the right. And between our USDA report, that news out of China, and then just how the stock market's having a bad day the last few days, boy, you know, we go through all that work to rally for a few weeks and we lose it in a few days. It's kind of frustrating. I can't imagine how frustrated the grower must be. The end user's happy,
yeah, but
the grower's got to be a little disappointed.
Matt, on the livestock side, WASD, we saw some meat numbers out of there too, looking at lower cow slaughter numbers. But when we look at overall the cattle market, you know, this bull market, you say it's going to be hard to change that long term.
Well, at this point, I think, you know, placements have not been really large, obviously, and, you know, the cattle guys have gotten right here in the last 18 months to 2 years. It's been a really good time for cattle producers, and so are we going to be looking to put heifers on feed whenever we don't see near the profitability that we've seen in the last couple of years? And my answer to that question is no, and so I do think the herd is going to start to grow, but the herd doesn't grow very quickly in the cattle business. We all know that, so I think that, you know, from a terminal perspective, it's going to be a while until those numbers really increase.
So what's your short-term advice for these cattle farmers?
Well, I think I would be patient. On a day like today, whenever the market got hit very hard, you know, I wouldn't be getting into full-on panic mode, because I do think that this market's going to stay around. You will see some strength.
Tommy, mandatory country of origin labeling, it's hanging over the market right now with Canada and Mexico threatening retaliatory tariffs on more than just meats, but it's meat mainly that you know, we're really worried about. So we have that and the strong U.S. dollar really weighing on exports right now moving forward.
It is. It's not only an agriculture time. Where I grew up in Griffith, Indiana, right next to Gary, a lot of our people in Northwest Indiana are struggling. That's the steel industry. So I want the American producer to know whether they're growing corn, wheat, beans, cattle, pigs, chickens, or steel, that this strong dollar is hurting us. It's hurting our exports. We're losing jobs because of it. And as agriculture takes a little step back, good jobs are hard to come by, and we're starting to lose those jobs from foreign competition and dumping in steel, and we don't want to see meats get dumped or anything else. But it's not just an ag thing, it's a world market thing.
All right, well, we want to get your closing thoughts. Tommy says he's actually writing a book and has a title for it, so we're going to hear that when we come back from U.S. Farm Report.